Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Joe Davis here from Southern New Hampshire University. Today we're still talking about Justice 103, the corrections class. And this is Module 2, or Week 2, Assignment 2-3, the short paper. Okay, as usual, here is the question broken down. It's actually broken down for you in the syllabus in the Blackboard. And that is provide an overview, keyword overview of boot camp. Okay, a lot of discussion about 500-word limits, 500 words, trying to get to it. It's an overview. This is a roughly 2-3 page paper. Okay, how do boot camps operate? The types of offenders who are sentenced to go to boot camps, which frankly is typically juveniles. The effectiveness of boot camps versus regular incarceration. And then finally, what do you think? Your opinion of boot camps as an intermediate sanction. Okay, the short paper rubric says that you have to analyze the corrections issue. You can go to the rubric and read this. You need to come to a conclusion. Now, even though that is the second critical element, it's actually going to be the last part of your paper where you demonstrate your evaluation and analysis skills. Clarity, does it flow? Is it well organized? Does it all make sense? Citations and integration, citation, integration, and format. When you quote someone, you have the appropriate citation in your paper, followed by the requisite reference at the end of your paper. And then finally, the writing mechanics. That should all look very familiar. I do want to talk to you briefly about research methods. This is your first opportunity, at least in this class, to develop your research skills. And so if you look in the textbook, Chapter 4, pages 122 to 124, that's about all there is on boot camps. And shock incarceration, there's a lot of other stuff, but boot camps. And so what you might try to do when you're doing any of these assignments is you look at those pages and you find the endnotes, the citations, in the textbook. And I think it runs from number 68 to 72. Then you go to the back of the book on page 504 and you look at those resources. It's giving you a better frame of reference. It's giving you an idea of where you might look for statistics. And if I remember correctly, number 68 was written in, I want to say 1993. I might be off there. My gosh, that thing is forever old plus 3 years. But the information came from the National Criminal Justice Research Service, which may be a place that you want to look. So that's my learning point for you there, a way to begin your research without going to Google, without doing anything much more than take 10 minutes, okay? We are going to go through how to use the Shapiro Library, and then we'll go through how to use Google Scholar. Okay, here is the home page, the opening page, the My SNHU page when you log in. In the section, in the video mini lecture I did about how to use Shapiro Library, I got you there by going through the course shell. I did that because then you could see how to find it while you're working, but number 2, to find the criminal justice and justice studies research guides. You can also get there straight away from the links over here where we go to Shapiro Library. And lo and behold, there's your search box. So when I say it's just as easy as Google, that's the only click you have to make, and now you can type whatever you want in there and you'll be searching academic sites. So as I said, we're going to look for shock, incarceration, and juvenile boot camp. I had already researched it, and so there it is, shock, incarceration, juvenile boot camps. And when we search that here in the Shapiro Library, we're going to come up with 154 articles. Okay, and when we take a look at that very first one, it says juvenile boot camps, a descriptive analysis of program diversity and effectiveness. Gosh, that could be interesting. That article's 15 years old. Okay, let's look at the next one. The total effects of boot camps that house juveniles, a systematic review of the evidence. Oh, 2010, we're getting better here. So you may want to click on those, look at the abstract, see if it's what you're interested in doing. You can also go over here to relevance, sort by the date newest, and it'll pop back up with the same 154 articles. However, the newest article is one from November-December issue of Scientific and American Mind in December of 2014. It doesn't look like a topic that applies, so we go down to the next one, and you go, wow, how long did it last? A 10-year conviction follow-up study. This is good news. 2013, it's fairly new because remember one of the questions is effectiveness. That's just a real quick look at how you can use the library. If you click on this, you get an abstract, then you can click on the entire article. It's in a PDF form. Okay, we finished looking at Shapiro Library. Now let's look at Google Scholar. The website link, scholar.google.com. Okay, here we are at Google Scholar. Looks just like regular Google. We're going to put the same thing in, shock incarceration. Juvenile boot camp. And I knew I was misspelling incarceration. There we go. And so when we search that, it doesn't look exactly like the traditional Google, but you can see, guess what? There are articles just like we were talking about. Multi-site evaluation of shock incarceration. Effects of correctional boot camps on offending. A recidivism study. And this tells you how it's available. So you can find great resources. We can look for newer ones. The year 2012, there's still ones. A multi-state analysis of correctional boot camp outcomes. Sounds like that might be pertinent to what you're doing. Okay, so now you get an idea of how to use Google Scholar instead of Google. Okay, let's move forward and talk about the actual substantive content of the paper itself. You're going to have to find that because there's very little in the book about it. So you need to read and analyze and evaluate and then write your opinion, okay? If you're not familiar with Safe Assigns, if you're fairly new to the university, Safe Assigns checks your work, your paper that you submit, against literally millions of other papers. So if you have plagiarized something, or if you've cut and pasted it correctly and gave credit, the most obvious would be a legal code, where you've taken a statute and put it into your paper. Your paper will light up like a Christmas tree when I read it. It'll also do it because you can check it. And then I can hit a link and it'll take me directly to the source. So the moral of the story is don't cut and paste your paper from websites or from other students' papers or from blogs or from commercial sites, some attorney's law firm or something, okay? Use APA format. You must have citations and references. I hope this little review, quick review and outline of what it is helps you. And as always, I'm here to help. Keep those cards and letters coming.